Hey folks, today we're going to take a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called Legends of Sleepy Hollow and is from Dice Hate Me Games. Now, if you like what you see throughout the rest of this preview video, I'm going to encourage you to go to the official Kickstarter project page. You can do so by following the link in the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath this video. Those will take you directly to the page. You can find out more information than I could possibly tell you here. Now, Legends of Sleepy Hollow is a cooperative storytelling board game. You and the other players are going through the famous tale of Ichabod Crane and Sleepy Hollow. You take control of characters who go to the town trying to find out about his disappearance, and of course things escalate from there. You're going through chapters of a story, essentially. But you're doing so by helping each other out, moving through different areas, fighting off enemies, using items, finding storyline items, opening up envelopes to continue the story and read parts of what's happening, and so on and so forth. So, let me just mention a couple things here. I'm going to show you a quick overview of a prototype version of the game, just to give you a feel for how the game plays, just as I normally would do here. However, just a couple things to point out. Of course, things can change in the final version, so what you see here may not be final. But more importantly, for this particular game, because it's a storytelling game with very particular story elements that you unlock as you go, and part of the enjoyment of the game is going to be actually discovering these things out for yourself, I do want to give a little bit of a spoiler warning. Now, this is the introductory scenario that I'm going to show you here. And I really don't show you that much of the story, but just in case, if you don't want to be spoiled at all, you can of course skip over the overview part of this video and go directly to my final thoughts, where I'll talk more about the game in general, but I just want to throw that out there. I think it's okay. Let's go ahead and take a look, then we're going to come back, we'll discuss it further. Legends of Sleepy Hollow is a cooperative story-based game for up to 4 players. Players will be working together to solve a story-based mission known as a chapter, gathering clues and accomplishing tasks, all while fighting off threats. For example, in the introductory Chapter 1, laid out here, the player characters arrive in Sleepy Hollow to investigate the disappearance of Ichabod Crane. They will investigate a schoolhouse, look for Ichabod's journal, as well as a student's journal, and if they can find them and interact with some of the other aspects of the environment, they can win the chapter. But if any of them are incapacitated, run away, or the pool of foes runs out, they will lose. To set up, lay out the game board for the chapter, in this case representing the schoolhouse. At designated spots on the board, you will randomly place face-down discovery tokens. You'll also populate the board with the starting foes, Shrickroots and Gobkins, and place the player character pieces in the starting spot. Every chapter has its own mat that reminds the players what their goals are, what the attack priority is, how the foes will spawn, and a token is placed to indicate how the foes react on their first turn. Every player gets their own player mat, 2 starting skill cards for their character, and action and health tokens according to what it says on their mat. Even if there are less than 4 people playing the game, all 4 characters must be used, so players may need to control multiple characters. Finally, off to the side you will make a supply of the dice and fear tokens, foe reference cards, and you'll have a legend deck face down. Don't peek at these cards unless you're instructed to do so. Health and fear are 2 important commodities in the game. Every damage removes a health token from a player's mat, and if they run out, they are incapacitated and everyone loses. Fear tokens, on the other hand, can be a good thing in moderation. They are gained by players every time they are attacked, regardless of whether or not they take damage. Fear tokens can be used in place of action tokens in most instances, but if any player accrues 10 or more of them, they will flee the game and everyone loses. Every round of the game involves each player taking a turn, followed by the game itself taking a turn for the foes. On their turn, a player can remove 1 action token or 1 fear token from their player mat and place that token in an action slot to activate it, either on their cards or on the 3 main slots on their player mats. The main slots can have any number and any kind of tokens, but skill cards can only have action tokens and only 1 of them until tokens refresh. Before or after taking any action, players may move up to their move value. When making an attack action, you'll check the range by counting orthogonal spaces. If you can hit the target, you'll apply damage, usually by rolling the special attack dice and applying modifiers. The foe cards will tell you how much damage each figure can take before it's destroyed. One of the main slot actions is to interact with the environment in a space where there are no enemies. This could involve something related to the story or flipping over and resolving a discovery token. Discovery tokens will either direct you to draw a legend card or to spawn a foe. Legend cards are either story items or general items that players can equip to aid them, though they each may only have one equipped at a time and can re-equip freely at the beginning of their turn, or give items to another player in their space with an environment action. And as you find story items, you'll actually have to open up sealed envelopes to add new story elements to the game. Item cards can have actions that require you to use multiple action tokens at once in order to use their abilities. Another main slot action is resting. Doing so will let you heal, adding health tokens back to your pool, or calm, removing fear tokens from your pool. The last main slot action is a special ability unique to each character. For instance, the Minister Elijah can actually heal or calm other players, though he must rest to do so on himself. Action and fear tokens remain in their slots on your mat or cards until you need to use one, but have none available. At that time, all action and fear tokens you have in play are removed and placed back in your pool on your playmat, free to be used again. After everyone has taken their turn, the game acts. Look at the chapter mat and the position of the token. Whatever text is currently revealed is what you'll be doing with the foes. Either move and attack, or move, spawn, and attack. That token will move to the other space at the start of the next turn. During a move, every foe will move one space towards the nearest character. If there's a tie for nearest, use the attack priority on the chapter card. Foes will stay put if they're already in a space with a character, but a space can't have more than 4 foes. If you need to spawn, roll an attack die. The chart on the chapter mat tells you how many and which types of foes will spawn based on that roll. Then, roll a regular die for each new foe to determine where to place them on the board, ignoring 6s. Finally, any foe in range of a character will attack. Their cards will tell you what their range is, how many dice they roll to attack, and any modifiers that they have. Remember that in addition to regular health damage, you're also going to be forced to take a fear token, or possibly even 2 fear tokens if it does a tremendous amount of damage to a player character. Then, start a new round. The game continues with the players interacting with the environment, fending off monsters, and attempting to meet their goals before being overwhelmed. If they succeed, they can move on to the next chapter and continue their quest. That is Legends of Sleepy Hollow. Well, of course, the most important thing to talk about with Legends of Sleepy Hollow is the theme, because while I think the tale of Ichabod Crane is a very interesting one, it hasn't been explored that much in board games, surprisingly. And, but there have been games that have been set in the same time period, but not quite focusing on this that I know of. And that's a very interesting thing. I mean, of course, it's embellished a bit and it's adding things to it, but that's to the game's betterment. I mean, having plays in as these different characters with different careers and definitely steeped in the lore and the history of the day, but adding on supernatural elements to it, I think, was a very good move on the publisher's part. And the fact that there is so much variety in how the characters behave and what their roles are and the different abilities that they get and items that you get throughout the course of the game definitely gives you that role-playing game feel, especially hand-in-hand with the storytelling elements of the game. But it is definitely a board game. It's something that you don't have to sit down and dedicate 6 hours of your life to play all in one setting to get a storytelling session through. But that element of how you unlock different envelopes of the game, and you go and you add different elements, whole new people can join the game, and new foes, and new items, and new goals and objectives. Your objectives can change. Things like that really makes the game more dynamic than your standard just cooperative game that might play differently but has the same elements every single time. You're playing through chapters of a book, essentially, here, and it really gives you that feel with how different and varied it can be. You know, obviously in the overview copy that I have here, there's only a couple of different enemies, but it's the kind of system that can lend itself to lots more different foes over time, as well as more player characters and tons of items and different storylines and things like that. It's a very versatile system in that regard. The fact that it is fully cooperative, you don't need a game master or one player who's the overlord or something to that effect, definitely is in the game's favor as well. And just the fact that you can play it, it's very easy to learn, it's very easy to set up, and very easy to, or quick to play, that's all really in the game's favor. But again, despite all of that, there is a lot going on here. The systems may be easy, but there's a lot of flexibility in how you can play your character. But that makes it very accessible to a lot of casual gamers, but also something that a lot of more expert pro gamers would be interested in as well, because there is so much going on in it. So, you know, the theme, the gameplay, the cooperative elements, the storytelling elements, you know, unlocking the elements of the game as you progress, all very interesting things. And if they interest you or someone that you know in your game group, definitely, don't take my word for it, go to the official Kickstarter project page. You can do so by following the link in the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath this video. That is Legends of Sleepy Hollow from Dice Hate Me Games. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, for supporting our sponsors. Take care.